Need more grok talk? Well, you can catch new shows Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Miss a show? Not a problem. Past shows are rebroadcast here daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. Join us for 2 hours of unapologetic conservatism. And we're not just armed with opinions.
Well. Welcome back to Grok Talk. Skip Murphy, Mike Rogers, Greg Moore, and Ed Naile is with us. Talked about some Medicaid expansion, but, a week, maybe even a day doesn't go by when we don't have some new and exciting information on the voter fraud front, and this is new and exciting.
And it's international.
And it's international.
Which we all love.
International vote fraud now.
Well, here's what we have. I think yesterday, day before, the new Project Veritas action video came out. And it shows the antics of several Australians who came here to work for Bernie Sanders. The Australians that came here are part of the Australian Socialist Workers' Party.
Not even their Labour Party.
They have Labour Party member, too. The one Labour Party guy, I believe, is Sandeep Saranthi. So they have the Socialist Worker Party paid for them to come here.
So basically, Indian communists have gone to Australia for freedom to join the Socialist Workers' Party of Australia.
I guess it works there, too. So we got Ben Kremer, who was the guy actually jumping out of the van and tearing up Hillary signs. Can't blame him for that. And he was going after the other ones from the Donald, his signs. Michael Quincy was involved. Rebecca Doyle, that's the girl that I probably will not be able to find because it's such a common name. And then Sandeep Saranthi. They have him as Saranth on the video, but it actually has a Y on the end. And I was in contact. I sent an email off to the Brisbane Times of Australia. They apparently have a member of their house or whatever, their parliament, is already ticked off about this and started an investigation into how did these Australians get a free ride to Manchester, New Hampshire. Oh, we're speaking of free rides.
Yeah, that's interesting. Did the Socialist Workers' Party of Australia send them to help out fellow socialists, or did the Bernie campaign pay them? And either way, it's looking very questionable.
We're all going to discover that here on Granite Rock and CNHT's website. We're going to find that out. But what I found out so far since 2:45 this morning was I reviewed the tape a couple times. Now, remember, I was out with Project Veritas, and I've met the people that did these films, so I pretty much know who's speaking on the blank side of the camera, and the girls are very, very good. No guy will not talk to these girls. That's the first thing you learn. Right? So they went in there with their black yoga pants, and they got the information, by goodness. So they got this Kremer tearing down signs, and they got Rebecca Doyle was answering some questions about how they got there. And so they were picked up by Thorpe at the Manchester airport.
By who?
Thorpe. That's the only. Well, I went in a little deeper into the FEC filings, and I found a guy named Benjamin Thorpe.
Ooh.
And Benjamin Thorpe got paid by the Bernie Sanders staff. So there's already a payment to him between January 1st and now on the FEC filings on the basically here's who we paid. So I haven't gotten into Benjamin Thorpe's address from that actual check. That's where I'm headed next. And I'm going to send Benjamin Thorpe's name off to my background people and to my checklist people and see if he lives in New Hampshire, where he's from. But Thorpe is the guy. We have one guy, Benjamin, so far. If anybody thinks I've said anything that I shouldn't, they can always contact me, have their attorney contact me, Ed Naile, 831-2031 here in New Hampshire.
Or email you at?
It's Ed Naile at Comcast.net. Real easy, Ed Naile at Comcast.net. Have your attorney contact me.
Not hiding, are you?
No, I've been waiting 15 years for somebody to have their attorney contact me.
That's a bit like Glenn Beck's red telephone.
Yeah, the first
Van Jones, call me.
The first scumbag dirtballs we caught were the bus of 22 people that went to Bearbrook Park and voted from the imaginary road with an imaginary house on it when the park was closed. So the park closes in October. They voted in November from Deerfield, and I put their names on the Internet in 2005.
The only thing real about was the votes, which counted.
The votes count. Yeah. So we know that. The AG's office knows that. They've been playing this game for a long, long time. So I'd like to say one thing. voter fraud in New Hampshire begins and ends at the Attorney General's office. And if they don't like that, they can do something about it, too. So I was with Project Veritas. So if they want to take any legal action against them, I'd like to go along with them. So bring this extra set of cuffs for Ed Naile.
And what is the attorney, the person sworn to uphold the law? Who's the head of the election law in the Attorney General's office?
Steve Labonte is the head of it, and he is in over his head right now. He's got to have more stuff that he can possibly do. But right now we're going to be looking for these guys and see if we can't stir up a little trouble in Australia. There's a little time difference, but I have all the time in the world. Send this stuff down there and watch them get investigated by the Aussie, the Australian.
It's easy. Just kick back with a beer in the evening, and it's Australian morning time.
Right now, everybody out there in listening land, we are looking for Benjamin Thorpe, maybe of New Hampshire. That's a whole little different aspect to this. The other thing we have is there is a lot of tape. And here's how this Veritas project works. They send these very attractive girls out with these little tiny cameras in the button of their shirt, and they go in and they go work in the Hillary campaign.
In a position guaranteed to have people make eye contact?
Absolutely guaranteed. And no matter which way they're facing, they're in there, and they've got their camera, and they pick up this information. They bring it back to the command center, and then they transcribe it. So they have to make a transcript of the 15, sometimes 18, 20 minutes. That all gets transcribed.
Hard.
So as they're doing that, I'm reading it. So I got to read a lot of transcripts, at least important parts. They go, Ed, is this illegal? Ed, what statute? Ed, how can you prove this? So they have a guy that puts the tape together and another guy that meshes it. So there's a guy that puts the tape together, there's a guy that put the dialogue together, and then some of what you hear O'Keefe say, they'll go, Ed, get on your soapbox. And I'll say, here's the question. And that's what you hear O'Keefe say on the tape, saying things like, Veritas was here in 2012. This is 2016. Doesn't look like much has gotten fixed, has it? It's that kind of stuff. So I get to do that. And so I've seen a lot of the tape that no one else has seen. And this Stephen Lobotomy at the AG's office is now sending these half of subpoenas out to Project Veritas to get all their film. Well, let's all pray that happens, because I'd like everybody in New Hampshire to see every single second of film that they took, because I've seen it, and there's some fabulous names that need to be released that they haven't felt comfortable doing with Project Veritas. Hopefully, with the help of that idiot at the Attorney General's office, we can get all that tape released to the public, and we can spend the next couple of years going over this.
They won't release it.
I think they will if it benefits them. So Project Veritas will make a lot more news by following the advice of the Attorney General's office and releasing all the raw footage for us to go through, because we know the names of the state senators. We know the names of the attorney husbands of famous people. We know all these names, so we'll get to see. They don't really know them,
So more to the point, if the request is to hand over all of the footage, all they need to do is upload the entire damn tranche of
everything to
YouTube and say, here, Mr. Attorney General, it's all on YouTube.
All right there.
And by the way, we've notified all the press outlets as well.
And it's untouched. It's in its raw form, from the two blonde bombshells, the alluring brunette, and the other fellows that worked there, the big guys, the little guys. The one guy that had the hair all over the place. It looked, how they put a pot on your head and cut it in the old days for a haircut?
Yes.
He put the pot on his head, and then they hook it up to 110 electric. And then they send him out, and as soon as he walks in the door, they're going, this is a Bernie supporter. Got to be. Doesn't comb his hair. Right? So they have, and then these guys went off and went to the other states. So some of these people have been followed from New Hampshire to Nevada and other states. So we're not done with these guys yet. We're waiting for them to vote again March 1st. And they're such idiots, and they're such involved in their campaigns, they're not even going to hear any of this. Yeah. So hopefully we'll come back with them voting this, here, and there. And then we go right back to Steve Labonte and say, why don't you prosecute this?
That two-edged sword is called discovery. Such an important word, because
I like to refer to it as a double-edged sword, but go ahead.
Well, yes. Two-edged sword, double-edged sword. Same thing is going to cut both ways. And do you think that the AG's office understanding, because they track us.
Oh, yeah.
They go to Mike's house. My picture falls out of their folders.
Yeah, come to my house.
And they say, we know who you are. We listen to your stuff. We read what you write.
Yeah, come to my house. 61 Tubbs Hill Road.
We watch your speeches.
They're trying to push up your listenership. That's okay, right?
Fine by me, because,
Maybe they should sponsor the show. You should ask the AG justice.
In a way, they are.
Yeah. I mean,
Should we put that
I just
as a
look
trailer?
at this and go, do you really think that they would ever follow through with that? Because of exactly what you said before. We know who all the state senators are, the important names and all that. Do you think they're going to go, crap, and
I think
not
they're
do
that
anything?
stupid. I think
Really?
I think they think they're going to find something on the Veritas tapes that they can go after Veritas with.
Well, yeah.
And I think that'll blow up in their face. They will have no eyebrows left when this is over with. They'll just be, or a mustache if they have one. Even the women. If they
I really
they're
do
gone.
believe that they ought to be go ahead, issue that subpoena. Project Veritas ought to demand, if you want to see it, it was sort of like Apple right now.
Right.
You want to force it? Be our guest.
Yeah.
No.
Or release snippets.
Yeah.
No, I would
Say, well, okay, we're too busy to give it all to you, but we'll give you this right now, and then boom, drop it. So I'd like to see that. And there's some of it's really great. And
if Project Veritas needs some help with some of the editing and snipping of the video, I will put Granite Rock's resources to their assistance.
That's what we need to do.
I bet they're more professional than we are, judging by some of what's going on. But yeah, wouldn't it be fun?
Oh, they will be. But if they just need somebody to slam stuff up to YouTube, more than happy to help. Because I'll do it with a really big smile.
Yeah, Rich Gerard, Manchester, he's offered to do some of this. We had the Veritas video on immediately. I was only allowed to release it on February 9th at 7 a.m. And my voter fraud radio program starts at 6:40. Yeah. So at 6:40, I had to spin my wheels till 7, and then we played the first Veritas video.
And we put it up at 7:30.
You guys put it up same. Yeah, we were getting the same stuff basically all the same time.
Yeah.
But we have different avenues. I mean, Rich Gerard beams right into Manchester in drive time with AM radio.
Right.
This people can pull up any time. So it's getting more dangerous for them to try and hide voter fraud. The public knows. And these videos are great. They were here in 2012. We took no actions to resolve that, and it all falls on the shoulders of the AG's office. That's where it starts and ends. I learned this in 1996 when I first dealt with them, and I owe them. They gave me the club to beat them with in 1996, and I've been at it ever since. And now it's getting better. The last 5 years have been really good. I'm expecting the next couple of years are going to be really, really good.
You know what I think that Project Veritas ought to do is to find somebody that will ask Maggie Hassan, listen, what are you doing about this voter fraud? All this information that's coming out, what is your Attorney General's office going to do? Do you know if anybody's asked Maggie that question?
Not that I know of
Given
yet.
that she's running to take away the junior senator seat from Kelly Ayotte.
Maybe she'd wait till like 4 days before the election and ask her how.
Yeah, by the way, did Kelly Ayotte, when she was running the office, did she ever do anything about voter fraud?
Absolutely not that I know of. And in fact, we were set upon by that office, our taxpayer group in Bedford. At the time, they almost extorted basically $10,000 out of our group. They tried to charge us with false, putting up signs on public property that were not political signs, when in fact they were. And the town of Bedford could not have pursued us for doing that without the help of the AG's office. Long story, but that's what happened there. So we have a lot of. I'd love to discuss all this. If the AG's office wants to go through it, I'm available. And remember, everything they do with me and Veritas would be before a New Hampshire jury. So I'm pretty sure we're not going to a judge. We're going to a jury.
Okay.
And I can't see a New Hampshire jury thinking voter fraud is funny. So I'm counting on that instead of a judge.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking at it from the political standpoint that, if
Just to interrupt, sorry, we were having some issues with some streaming audio, and we believe it's been fixed. So go ahead, please.
Yeah. I mean, we on the right look at the Democrats as being absolutely they don't want to pursue the voter fraud. But I brought Kelly Ayotte's name up, because she's running against Maggie Hassan.
She had an opportunity to do it.
She had the opportunity to do the right thing, to faithfully execute the laws, if I can steal a phrase from the U.S. Constitution. Yep. And how much longer can the AG's office decide prosecutorial discretion? I mean,
that's RSA 7.6, I think it is. The AG's office has the authority to prosecute voter fraud at their will. We have to change that law to say shall. And then I can bring a writ of mandamus when I give them evidence saying this guy voted here, and voted illegally in New Hampshire. Do a writ of mandamus.
For the listeners, writ of mandamus means government. You have to do your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it means like mandate. It means
simple changes to our
this.
law.
Yeah.
If we put our entire voter database online, like Vermont has, right now I send an email to Vermont. Vermont sends me their entire database, so I can track all the Bernie voters that voted here back to Vermont from my office. No problem. We need to put that on the internet. We need to make it a statute that says if you're an election official and you knowingly coach, endorse, help, supply, do whatever to help someone break an election law, you lose your position. Now, I would never ask that you be arrested because that would never happen. They protect the hive, but you lose your position. If you ever want to be election official again, you have to go to Superior Court and get their permission to do it, where we would get a chance, the public, to discuss that. We need to make the AG's office either responsive or elected, one or the other. There's about 4 or 5 things we could do and correct us, and we're going to lose.
One of the things, Ed, that we looked at back in 2012 was actually moving election enforcement from the Department of Justice over to the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State, of course, being the chief election officer of the state, and saying, well, shouldn't the enforcement of those laws belong within the Secretary of State?
Because even though Bill Gardner is a Democrat, Bill Gardner cares a lot about
the integrity
in the electoral process.
Absolutely.
And first in the nation meaning something, which right now, thanks to Republicans and Democrats alike, Kelly Ayotte and Labonte, and others in between, and our election integrity is worthless.
And I will tell you that it is such a low priority in the Department of Justice. I mean, it couldn't be a lower priority. I'm pretty sure that when you've come to the Department of Justice and you've done something wrong, that's how you know you've done something wrong, because you get stuck with election law.
Wow. Yeah, and I have a team of like 2 people. One
attorney and one half of a retired state police officer.
And if they say they don't have any money, there's $5,000 in fines for each one of these. I know they can pick up $50,000 a year real easy for an extra employee by prosecuting 10 of these guys, and I hand them over. I mean, here like this Carl Gibson. Here is his driver's license from Kentucky, and he's voting here. He renewed it between the time he voted the first time and the time he voted again. He voted in Wisconsin, and he renewed his driver's license in person in Kentucky. I sent that off to Steve Labonte, and he says, "Oh, you don't have enough evidence of voter fraud, dismissed." If we had a statute that said they shall, not may, shall prosecute voter fraud, then I could bring a writ of mandamus, and we wind up in court with people watching this whole thing happen in public rather than just doing it here.
Greg, how hard would that be to get a law passed by the Republican majorities?
I think first and foremost, I think that you get it through the House and Senate, probably would go through, get it through a governor. Well, I mean, obviously we've had governors who have been sort of antithetical to actually improving the integrity of election laws in the state of New Hampshire for a while now.
Yeah, Shaheen vetoed voter ID 3 times, Lynch at least twice, and Hassan's done everything she can to veto good election law. But these are federal elections. Our primary is considered a federal election for federal officers, so hopefully we see some change at the federal level as well. They could put an end to this. And this year, in 2016, I was with Veritas. In 2014, I was in Nashua with Judicial Watch. And if somebody like Judicial Watch comes along and says, yeah, New Hampshire is ripe for the pickings, which this helps, there's another avenue as a federal lawsuit if it looks like they'll get them enough publicity. And I think this could,
All right,
let's hope we can fix it. You got to end the segment there,
This
Steve?
is a good spot to end a segment, and we're going to move on to a new topic as soon as I finish editing and closing this picture of Greg that I just posted on Facebook, who, by the way, is not following Grok Talk on Facebook. You've got to fix that. Do it right now. Because I go to put your name in, and it doesn't tell me,
yeah,
Greg,
give us your phone. Come on, turn it over.
We're going to set this up for you. All right, hang on. We're going to come right back and talk about maybe some business taxes or some asset forfeiture. Who knows? We'll be right back. It's Grok Talk. Stay tuned.
From the CNHT studios in Concord, New Hampshire, just a few blocks from the New Hampshire State House, this is
Grok Talk.